Thank you, Sylvia, and the rest of the choir, the band. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker today, Sarah Johnson. She has a big background in radio and is going to be, or not going to be, she already started being our social media person. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me pretty good? All right, awesome. So thank you very much for the introduction. Like it was mentioned, my name is Sarah Johnson, and maybe some of you might recognize my voice. I've gone by Sarah J for the past decade. I used to be on Hot 99.7, and then after that, I was on 107.3 KFFM for about 5 years. So in January of this year, the radio station and I parted ways. And normally on social media, you would get to see an amazing post from somebody who just got let go from their dream job, and they would be posting crazy things about that company. I signed NDAs where I wasn't allowed to do those things. But I wanted to say thank you very much for trusting me with your social media. And so I wanted to take a moment and give you a little bit of my background on social media and the tie-in with spirituality. So that way, maybe if you're feeling a little like, who is this person and why would she be touching our spiritual stuff, I can give you a little bit more ease. So I grew up in California. My father was a pastor, so a Lutheran pastor, and we actually moved up to Yakima when I was about 12 or 13 years old, so that way my father could be the pastor of Mount Olive Lutheran Church out in West Valley. So till I was about 15 years old, I was a pastor's kid, and I don't know, is anybody else a pastor's kid? Okay, so a pastor's sister, there we go. So there's a level of people know you before you know them, and not that like we're fancy, but you're known a little bit, and so growing up, I never really had. I mean, I loved God, and I did all the things I was supposed to do, but I never got to open my Christmas presents on Christmas Day because we had to go to church first. And so there's things about religion that I don't really necessarily am a fan of because I grew up having been forced to do it. And so I'll give you a little bit more of that because I don't have a problem with religion. I love that people have a base and a community that they can go to. So I'm not bashing, but the transition into spirituality happened when my dad actually was on the internet, so right before social media had taken off. So he's on the internet and he's checking stuff out for a sermon, and he comes across Orthodoxy, and he is blown away, and he feels that Orthodoxy is much closer to what Lutheran, Again, we're not going to get into all of the Catholicism and all of those things, but I was right in the middle of my catechism. So I was studying, and I was about to write my paper, and I was going to be spreading the word in front of the church, and my dad said, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. It's not a big deal. And so me at 15 years old, I've been studying this stuff, and you've been telling me that this is so important, and now you're telling me I don't even need to do it? And then we switched complete religions. So we're Orthodoxy, which is beautiful, but very old and different. Catholics and Greek Orthodoxy has a lot of standing, and women need to wear covers on their heads, and I mean a total shift. So now I've experienced Lutheranism, and now I'm in Orthodoxy, and so by the time I hit 18 and could make my own decisions, I thought, I'm getting out of Yakima. I'm going to go see the world. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to church. I want to sleep in on a Sunday. And so, my dad was the one that suggested you should go play softball in Hawaii. So I thought, I'll just go. I'll go to Hawaii. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing. And I majored in business administration just because I had to figure out what that was going to be. And I ended up going to a church in Hawaii that was a lot like this. It was more a community, and they had, it was the first time I'd seen satellite churches, and there wasn't a communion. It was just people expressing themselves and wanting to share these amazing, beautiful stories. And it wasn't about excuse the language, but going to hell or the sinning. It was more about what we can do on a day-to-day basis to be better people overall. And so I had the opportunity where I could get baptized, and I thought, are you kidding me? As an adult, I can decide as myself that I want to get baptized, I could get baptized in the ocean. Like, wouldn't that be everyone's dream? And so I call my mom up and I'm telling her all of this stuff, and she is so mad at me. She cannot believe that I am discrediting my past, and I already was baptized as a child. So this would totally obliterate what I had already done. And I'm thinking, as an adult, I'm making this decision to not discount everything that I've already learned, but I want to commit as an adult that I'm totally into what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. And so that really sent me on a path of just discovering what I wanted to feel and what I wanted to learn about. And so organized religion to me, as I've gotten older, has been there's a little bit of a stigma around it. And I love the fact that people have grown up in an area that they are loved, and we know that we're supposed to be, the best that we possibly can be for other people, but also we should be loving everybody. And I love that this congregation feels the same way, that you are inclusive and you want people to feel cared for. And I can't even understand why you would have a baby and then be like, they don't live up to whatever you thought it was going to be. And so thank you for being a place where people can feel safe. And so after I came back from Hawaii, well, I was on cruise ships, so I traveled all over the world, and the internet started to show up, and social media started to show up at that point, and I was doing the internet dating all across the world and all of those things. But I get back into Yakima, and my first job is at the convention center, and it worked out well because I have a lot to give to people, but I had crazy energy. I worked on a cruise ship. I was up for 14 hours a day. We were living on this thing. We were partying. I wasn't a good fit. And that's okay. I want you to know that if you're not a good fit in some place, that's totally fine, because you're going to find your crew eventually. So I say all these things because then eventually I got into radio. And I didn't realize that as I got into radio, there's certain things that you can say on the radio and certain things you shouldn't say on the radio. So I stopped giving out a whole portion of myself. I never talked about religion because that would cut out a whole group of people. I don't have children, so I didn't have an understanding of how horrible some of these lyrics are, that I'm just singing, and then I was watching my nieces and nephews and horrified, and I turned off the radio myself. I had big plans and big dreams that I was going to be able to run 107.3 KFFM at some point, and I actually had a gentleman that came into town and said, yes, that will happen. And so he got me from Hot 99.7 and brought me over to 107.3, and then unfortunately he passed away because his body was just riddled with cancer. We had no idea, and it was just crazy. So for the next 5 years, I just focused on what I was told, what I thought was going to happen. I kept losing myself more and more and more. I started having anxiety attacks. But as I'm on air, I'm saying all these fun things on air, and I would get off the air and I would just lose it. And then I would have to just get back on air and do it again. So when I was told that I wasn't going to get to do radio anymore, I really was lost for a second, because I thought that was where I was supposed to be, and that was the trajectory that I've been putting everything into. But everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't be standing here right now if I hadn't have gone through all of those things. And I say these things because spirituality is such a beautiful thing, and it should be shared with everybody. And while I was in the radio, I not only had to do the on-air portion, but I also had to write 2 pieces of content, local content, for our website. Then I needed to share it on all the social medias every single day. And I have done that for 8 years, and it is exhausting. I will tell you. I wasn't posting things that I liked. I was just posting things that were getting clicks. I was turning into a clickbait person, and I really didn't, but I was forced. I needed to get a certain amount of numbers, so there wasn't any I was trying to get the things that I cared about the most and I had the most heart with were the things that they weren't looked at. And so that is hard. But I would love to ask a question right now, because I know I've kind of been rambling about my backstory, but I just wanted to kind of give you why I would love for you to feel comfortable with me touching your social media. Because how many in here right now have at least one social media that you get on? Okay, So that's more than 50% of us. How many of you have 2 social medias that you get on? All right, totally fine. How many of you got on a social media this morning, like the moment that you woke up and you were looking at stuff? Would you say, from everybody that raised your hand, and even if you didn't, can you remember something positive that you saw while you were scrolling this morning? Good. So 3 of you. Out of more than half of us, about 4 of us remember something really positive. How many of you saved something or shared it with somebody because you were so inspired? Okay? About 3 or 4 or 5 of us. Okay, that's not bad though. I ask these questions because I have Instagram. I've got a professional Instagram and then a personal Instagram. And then I have got a professional Facebook and a regular Facebook. And then I have got a TikTok. And then I'm on Threads. I don't want to do all of those things. I just want to focus on finding stuff that makes me happy. And so I was so excited when I was asked to take a look at your social media and kind of come up with a game plan on how we can get you more followers and get you more people that can learn about Unity. And so that is why I'm here today, because with all of the crap that I have been learning over these past years with the radio, I can take all of that stuff and I can curate it in a positive way where we can start looking at our social media, as I have started doing, in a spiritual way where I'm searching for the most positive things. I'm getting rid of anybody who, if I am triggered by something, because that's one of the toughest parts of scrolling through social media, you're laughing, you're having a great time, and then all of a sudden you see something that enrages you, and it like changes your entire day, and you have no control over those things, and you probably still won't have control over those things if you just are randomly scrolling, but I would love to offer you the chance to, while you're scrolling, since you're already doing it, if there is something that you see that screams unity, that really embodies what this congregation is all about, I would love for you to send it to the Unity Facebook page or the Messenger. Actually, that's another question. How many people in this room right now are friends of the Unity Facebook page and the Instagram? Okay, you do have an Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram, that's totally fine. But, if you don't like social media, this is not a harp on you getting on board with social media, okay? I grew up without social media, so I have an understanding of what it was like before this stuff came and what it is like now. If it brings you joy and you already are on social media, I would love for you first, if you haven't already, to like the Unity Facebook page and like the Unity Instagram page. And if you do, do it right now. If you see anything that you would like us to post, please do. So then I wanted to give an example of how interesting social media can be. Being in radio, I have grown a very thick skin. So, I might still get my feelings hurt, but I'm not going to take it as personally as I used to. I absolutely love the fact that Unity focuses on the spiritual, and then you're doing chakras too, which is like so cool because that is not something that is, I think I even told my dad, like when I watched Dogma for the first time, I was like, you gotta watch this movie, it's amazing. Like God could be female, like, whoa, that's so, and I wanted to have this conversation, and he was like, blasphemy, we don't talk about those things. And so right? Bentley. And you want to have a conversation. Like if they can get up in front of the congregation and speak all of this stuff, why can't we have an open line of communication? So that's where I am at with all of this stuff. I love the fact that you have got chakras involved with your spirituality and you are involving everybody. But one of the dangerous things about social media too is we scroll so fast that sometimes we're not catching all of the information that's being given. So I had done a post, and I don't know if you've seen the Unity page. It looks a little different, just a touch different. I'm not going too wild, but what I'm trying to do is look at the trends of what's going on with different things. So maybe you saw a duck running up and back. That is from CapCut, and I don't know if I'm going to go over your head, but these are all viral things that are helping the younger generation become more engaged with social media. So I don't want you to feel that I'm making a mockery of anything that we do here. I have a very deep-rooted belief in God and spirituality and everything that you're doing. I don't want you to feel I'm making fun of the chakras at all. I had a guy dancing in front of the chakras, this is the tough part about social media. If you just saw the man dancing in front of the chakras, you might think, what is going on? What is he doing? And even if you turn the music on, you'd be like, whoa, that is not church music. But that is a viral song that's going on right now. That is a viral man that is dancing. I don't know who he is, but man, he's got the whole thing. And I put POV because that's the point of view, is that this man is dancing because he's so excited that Unity is talking about the chakras and including that in but if you hadn't clicked on it and actually opened it up and read the whole thing, you wouldn't know. And so that's one of the struggles of social media, is that we scroll so fast, we're only getting half of the message. And so I would love, now that I've said all these things, to open up the floor if anybody has any questions about social media or spirituality or thoughts on where you would like your social media to go, because I'm very open to creating exactly what you want, and I want to make sure your voices are heard. But I also wanted you to be able to meet me and understand that I'm not just some weirdo over here putting some random ducks on the thing and hoping that, I want to attract new people to your community and your group. So yes, I see a hand that wants to go up.
Well, I'm on social media all the time, but I think I'm really challenged because it shows up in my feed that you're doing these posts, but they don't show up in my feed. So I never see them. How do I make that happen?
How many people are liking the posts when you see them? That is one of the biggest ways. So that's another one for you. That's a very good question, because your feed is basically the stuff that you stopped on. If you liked it, if you commented on it, if you shared it, more of that type of stuff will start showing up in your feed.
But since I follow Unity, the Unity page, I just wonder why it's not showing up in my feed.
Are you liking every single one of the posts?
Well, I have to get them to.
I guess this is my part about being intentional about our journey on social media. When we get onto it, you go to your For You page or you go to the thing and you're scrolling. At this point, you are not making a conscious effort about where you're wanting to go on social media. You are allowing social media to just kind of bombard you. So in these next 5 minutes, as you're scrolling, you could get hit with something super negative, a murder. I mean, there's like all kinds of things, really inappropriate things that shouldn't even be on social media that you're seeing. So instead of getting on and just kind of scrolling and seeing what's out there, get on Unity and go to the page and go to that next post and like that post. Because I will guarantee that every single post you go on Unity's will be positive. It will give you some type of information. You don't even have to switch. I want you to get on that actual page. And maybe I should have had it up on the thing. But when you're scrolling, unless you are interacting with a page, so like you have your personal page, unless you are on Unity's page, I know, it can get very overwhelming. Unless you're on the page, you're liking those things, they're not going to show up in your feed. Even if you're friends with them, it's just one of those things about social media. So that's why I was saying being more conscious about, I'm going to go to my favorite gardening group. I'm going to look at Unity's positive post of the day. I'm going to like that. I'm going to share. I'm going to comment. A couple of days ago, I had posted something, and I can't remember what I asked, but I think I asked Unity's page a question. And nobody's answered the question. I did get a comment on there. It was more of a statement, but it wasn't an answer to the question. And so those are the types of things. If we're wanting to grow our page, I would love our members to go on there and start showing off if there's a question on there, you can answer the question. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But every single time you do these things and you interact with these things, it will pop Unity's stuff up into your feed farther. Ooh, I'll go with one right behind and then we'll do another. Yeah.
I saw the duck one. There was another one that I heard was fun, and even when I go to Unity page, I can't find it.
Okay.
Not on Facebook.
Okay. Some of them are in Instagram and some of them are on Facebook. Okay, and that's fine. Yeah. If you're not on Instagram at this point and you have no reason to be on Instagram, don't add another social media. Those are for pictures. And I don't want to get into the weeds because I could go on forever. So I don't want to make this too long or make you guys zone out at all. And I'm trying to get them on both. Normally when I post on Facebook, it should go right over to the Instagram. And some of those didn't. So they're not totally matching. But all the videos should have been. But, but it might just be on Instagram. And I can add it if you like. Okay. I could do that. And then you had a question?
Oh, well, first I was just gonna say, thank you, because it's always nice to have an organization, you know, with a little bit of help in, getting around social media. I noticed, like, I have Unity as, I think it's one of my groups,
Okay.
you know, in Facebook. And so after I joined, it became one of my groups, and then I had to go to that group to see the posts. Yeah. So then that.
You're not private. This is not a private page. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we'll look into that. So there should be one Facebook Unity, and then you've got your national Unity page. So the Yakima Unity page. Make sure you're liking that one. You're liking the Yakima Instagram page. Even if it's in a group, that might be a private group. That might be something set. So that's something I understand. And we can do, honestly, I feel like if you want, because I had to do a lot of training with the radio, forced training that now I have all this information, random information. But if you want to know more about social media and what is going on behind the scenes, we totally can deep dive into that stuff. It's very confusing, and you could go on for days and days and days. But the majority, I would love it, because it would really help if you are on social media already, making sure that you have liked and followed. And if you want to meet after this as well, and we can talk, because we were talking about maybe having like some social media warriors. And because I had even mentioned in my introduction thing that people love getting into fights on social media. They don't have all the facts. They're just throwing out their opinion. And so keyboard warriors is not a positive term in the fact that they're fighting. Like, you don't want to be a keyboard warrior. But I would rather turn it into a positive thing where I am making a intentional effort when I get on social media. I'm looking for something positive. I'm only sharing things that inspire me, and I'm letting part of you get to see a piece of myself, and I'm not going to engage in all the negativity. And I think overall, that will help us all become just overall better people, because what is the point of fighting with a stranger? And half the time they're fake. They're not even a real person. So it's like, it's wild that you would allow a stranger that has no face and no bearing on your life to dictate the rest of your day. And you weren't even planning on doing that when you got on social media. And then 15 minutes later, you are fighting about socks. Who knows what you're fighting about? But that is why I'm here today, and I wanted to help, and I want to make your social media bigger and better, and it's a lot of consistency. So I would love people's help. She had one, and then I'll get back to you. Yeah? Oh, okay, we'll go. Yes, please.
I mean, the first part was kind of a comment. And
Oh, okay.
My question really was about sort of what you're talking about on what we can be posting. And, like, do we have any, as a community, do we have any guidance around what would be helpful to be posting, or, you know, is there...
In regards to Unity, or?
Is there a group here that, you know, maybe Chrissy formed, or maybe there already is, just saying like, oh, this is kind of the flavor we want, and if there are, you know, conflicts or a lot of intensity on something, that there's a sort of approach that is maybe, you know, laid out like, oh, we want to come with understanding. Here are some things that we can say in response that
Yes.
are not being, you know, fighting.
Yes. I definitely think having a group of you that is into this and likes it is a huge thing, and it will help you guys, because then you will, liking and sharing on your own page, and even if you don't want it on your page, I don't know if this makes sense, but to share it to your stories, it's not living on your page, but people like to view your stories and they like to know what's going on. And that's a huge way of sharing Unity stuff. And then we can set up a group that where I saved these 5 posts because I thought they were really awesome. And so we can go through those. And then we make a calendar where we're just dropping all of this hot, awesome stuff about upcoming events and things that just make you feel really good. Social media, again, is one of those things. It's very fast. People aren't reading. They don't want huge descriptions of things. So like with the chakras, that's going to be 4 or 5 different posts. One person is going to really like the dancing guy. Another one's going to like the fact that talking a little bit more about the chakras and how they unblock. And so there's just one post is not going to make or break you. And if you're losing people because of it, at this, you wouldn't, this is different. This is like a business, but this is not a business. You're not going to be losing anybody. You're just going to be gaining people that are really interested in your stuff. And I highly doubt there would be anything on your page where people are arguing. But if they are, it would be cool to have some warriors that are ready to come with some positive stuff where we're not giving facts instead of engaging in negative. Yeah? Does that help answer it a little bit, maybe? You're welcome. Yes.
But even energy that is seemingly conflicting is energy.
Correct.
And it brings the attention to the page and the group, and people will recognize the truth that's being expressed versus an opinion or a belief that was being expressed. And having that free space for us to be able to communicate and bring truth to the surface is very empowering.
Yes.
And I think that's going to attract people to Unity as well.
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to ask questions. We should not just have to accept what somebody somewhere else said. We should be able to talk about it. And thank you for helping us
Yeah.
grow.
Oh, you're welcome. I totally agree with that because, I mean, we're all here because we have come from religions where maybe we weren't fully invested in what we were hearing. And so to have a place where you are looking at your social media and you can see all of these the beautiful colors of all types of energy, but all of it is positive energy, and we are opening up the conversation, and that's what we're wanting, right? I hope that's what we're wanting, and if that's not, you keep me in line, because that's okay. Good. Yeah, I love that. Yes, that's exactly. You'll be able to see that energy, and so keeping it positive is huge, and knowing that people want to know. They want to be able to ask the questions and not feel that they're wrong in asking a question, because there's nothing wrong with asking a question. Does that answer? Oh, yes?
So, am I understanding correct that most people are not going to see this Unity page unless they go to Unity, unless we take a post and share it on our own?
All social media works in a way where if you have not engaged with that, you are not going to see it. You're going to see a bunch of stuff you didn't engage with. I don't know why that works, but if you want to consistently see Unity stuff, you will need to go on there and you'll need to like the page. You'll need to start interacting with the page. I mean, even more than just liking it, going in and commenting. If it was a phrase and I'm asking a question, or somebody, because I'm not the only one posting things on there, but if it is engagement, the more engagement we have, the more that stuff will start to pop up in the feed, and the more people will see positive energy, and then they'll be like, who are they? Oh, they're from Yakima? I didn't know about that. So that's huge.
So, are you the only one posting on it? We're not able to post on it.
There's 2 people that are posting right now, and is Cheryl? Am I saying that? No, Chris. Is Chris here? Okay, I don't want to put Chris on blast, but so Chris was doing the social media posting, and then I was brought in to assist with it. So I have access to the page. I have access in a way that you don't have access, but if there is something that you would like posted, I can post it for you if you like, and that takes out the stress of it. So you could just send it to me through Messenger and just say, I really like this, and then I'll just take it and then I'll just put it on there. And even if you had a quote or a question, something positive, I can do that for you, and I'm happy to do that for you, because I like social media, so I'm always wandering around in there, and so I'm trying to not be as much, but yes, you had a question.
Well, I mean, I think you stated it, but I just want to restate. In your opinion, in these times right now, does social media, or do you feel like social media will, how do you feel it will benefit, I guess, our growth in the congregation? Do you feel like it will attribute to that?
It's free.
But do you feel like
Yes. Consistency, number one, is the biggest thing for social media. Two, it's free. So this is anything that you have got going on can be posted on social media, and there's no time limit or amount that we can post on there. So I definitely feel with consistency and showing off who you really are. If you have just quotes, that's great. But then you are a Facebook full of quotes. You are a community. You go out and volunteer at different places, having pictures of where you volunteered, and engaging people in wanting to volunteer. Those are engaging posts will definitely help bring more people here. Yes.
So one of our community volunteer projects is going to clean up Lions Park.
Yes.
So in order to get that out on the page, do we take pictures of what we're doing and then we send
That-
them to you?
Yay! That's perfect. So Chris actually has a folder that we share where we're just dumping all of our photos. If you are doing something for Unity out in the community and you happen to take a photo of it, we would love to share that stuff, because that shows a full breadth of what you do. And if you're looking for volunteers, and honestly, I'm taking today's booklet and I'm going making posts off of that, because I just learned 10 new things that I didn't know that were coming up that would be very helpful. So in a month, the hope is that Unity will turn into this page where if I want to know anything that's going on with Unity, what's coming up, I can go on that page, and I know we've got a metaphysical event coming up. We're going to be helping out at Lions Pool on this date. So
And we would be sending those pictures to Chris.
sure, yeah, and she can send them to me. Yep. Yeah, I think that would be totally fine. She's in the office and she's got access to that folder, so I think that would be a really, if you're willing to do it, I don't want anyone to feel pressured to do it, but if it speaks in your soul that that is something that you're willing to help out with, the more people that we have that love this, it will show through on the site.
So you would be able to take this apart,
Mm-hmm.
apart and put it on our page?
Yes. And so I would probably put an event. It's going to be on this date. If you want more information or to volunteer, you can call this number. This is Unity. Ask us any questions. So that way it'll just live there. And then you all could go on there and be like, I'm going, or I'm interested, or I'm sharing. Did you know that we're doing this? So I'll start it, and Chris will start it, and then everybody else shares it, and then it just starts doing wildfire, hopefully.
And if I'm like that, what do people need to do other than to show up?
Exactly.
You need to bring work gloves. You need to bring work shoes, work gloves, and a shovel. What do you need to do? So people just show up.
Who, what, where, and when would always be great. If I'm posting something, I would, and if there are any details, and if there aren't, that's fine too. And if there's questions, I was just gonna give them to Chris, so that way, and we can work on all of those little details. And I hope I'm not going too long.
You know, the events section on Facebook.
Yes.
That's an important one too, because then we can open up the events here to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's searchable by date.
Yes.
Or by section, like what you're interested in the events section.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's another great.
It is. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to get Unity out in a way that is honestly free for everyone. So that is an awesome way. It's a great platform, and why wouldn't you want to use something that's free? And most people are scrolling through anyway. So, any other questions? Or yes.
I just know that, Juanita, you post wonderful things in our Unity, and how does she get that out?
So the Unity group, I think I'm going to find your group. And then if you're all right, I'm kind of like a little stalker. I'll go over there and I'll be like, I like that. And then I'll just move it over to the other one. So if you're okay with that, that's kind of how I've been doing it, because I mean, I could sit and I could wait for maybe 24 to 48 hours to get an approval, or I'm just going to do it and then we can reword it. But just know, I really care about what's going on, and I have a huge heart for what you're trying to do. And so anything I'm posting on there is just trying to get more eyes on what it is. So it might be a little like, whoa, it's a little different, but we're trying to get the younger crew and the older crew and kind of mesh it together, because this is a whole new type of, not religion, but, spiritual path. Yeah, and we want people to know about that there are lots of different options. And I know that there's a lot of people in Yakima that need that are feeling a little lost, and they're feeling like they're not included. Maybe they're even in their current church knowing that they're not included, but this is just all they know. So let's help people know that there's other paths and other ideas. And if you're good with that, thank you. Okay. And so I will be back at the end of it. If you have any more questions and stuff, we totally can talk about it.